it's Beth Manning. Welcome back to the channel. It's so great to have you guys here. And today I wanted to pop on real briefly and talk about the buying process. I recently had an encounter with a couple. They really hadn't bought a home in 20 years. So we really had to review what the process was like ahead of time. And I think it's really important to set your expectations correctly of what you can expect. I have found that setting good expectations allows people to take that tension off a little bit, and there's a clear pathway of what you know you're supposed to do on your side of the transaction. So let me say welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Beth Manning. I'm a 5-star rated realtor here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I do live part of the year in Tuscany, where I help Americans buy their second home, luxury home, or lease rental property. So welcome. If there's anything you would like to see or hear about in the Salt Lake City area, or if you want more information about Tuscany, you absolutely are welcome to drop some comments below or personally DM me. I would be more than happy to help you. So here's what I want you to know when you're buying a home. The process of once you're under contract is about a 30-day process. And there are a few milestones that I think it's really important for you to know along the way. So the first thing is, let's say you're looking for a home. That can be the longest part, is finding a home that meets your criteria, fits your budget, and is in the right part of town where you want to be. But I'm not getting into that today. I'm just getting into the logistics of when a house is under contract. Your house is under contract, it's been accepted, you submitted an offer, and it was accepted. Well, in that contract, you have filled out some terms that you, as the buyer, have agreed to by law, by legal contract. And there's certain dates in there that we're gonna go through. But first of all, you with your agent, or with your agent to be, hopefully it's me, had filled out in the contract a particular type of good faith, or what we call earnest money. So here's how it works. You submit a contract, and within the contract you say, yes, we're committed. Yes, we love this house. Yes, we're pre-approved. Here's our pre-approval letter. Ding. And yes, along with this contract, should you accept it, we are going to give you earnest money, or good faith money, to show you how committed we are to closing the deal, to this contract. Well, earnest money is something that once your contract is accepted, you have 4 business days to get that deposited into your real estate agent's brokerage account. So what happens there? If you're my client, we're under contract, I take a check, we do a wire transfer, and we deposit that money into a trust account that's in the name of the property and you, right? It's registered to the tax ID of that particular property. Now, mind you, that money, when we close the transaction, is applied to your down deposit. You don't lose that money. Well, let's listen up here. You don't lose that money if you and your agent follow some very specific dates and benchmarks, right? Okay, so let's put a pin in that one. So, contract submitted, earnest money within 4 business days. You then submit that to your agent and they deposit it into the brokerage account. Great, first thing done, check. Woo! So next we have a particular period of time. Generally, not always, generally it's about a 2-week period. And contractually in Utah, that's called your due diligence period. That's your inspection time, right? So the inspection time, the onus is on you, the buyer, to do all the inspections of everything you need to find out if you want to move forward in the transaction, right? So that would be maybe an inspection. Maybe you want to get the roof looked at. Maybe that's a landscaper. Maybe you think the house is not real, maybe it's wobbly and you want an engineer to come out and look at the structure of the home. Maybe you have special custom furniture and you need to go in and measure and make sure everything's gonna fit. Whatever you need to do to make sure the house is healthy, make sure it's exactly what you want, right? Do your mold, your meth, your sewer line, all your inspections. That is the period of time. Whether it's 2 weeks or 10 days, whatever you put in your contract, that's your period of time to do those inspections, right? So that's called your due diligence deadline. Now, I like to schedule that the moment my clients are under contract. I want to schedule it as soon as possible because let's say we get in there with some inspectors, and then we need some specialists. We want to make sure we have time to really do a complete, thorough investigation of all this stuff, right? That's what you will encounter when you're doing it with me. So due diligence period. Now, mind you, technically, you should know at that point if you're going to be moving forward completely in the transaction or not, right? So you want to get that done quickly because of your earnest money, right? So the earnest money comes into play in the due diligence and the finance and appraisal. And let me be more specific. So we go through the due diligence and maybe there's something wrong with the house, or maybe you're not exactly sure if you want to move forward. Maybe you have cold feet. At that point, you can actually pull out of the deal before your due diligence deadline, and you can get your earnest money back. There's 2 points where you can get your earnest money back. One is at the due diligence deadline. The second is at the finance and appraisal deadline. That is really on the backs of your lender, right? They want to make sure that everything you submitted for the pre-approval is correct. They check your finances. They want to make sure you haven't financed something since your pre-approval letter. There's a lot of tight regulations. You want to, once you're under contract, you don't want to touch anything with your finances. Trust me, you just want to continue to move forward. But the second reason where you could cancel the contract and get your earnest money back would be at the finance and appraisal deadline. So what you would do if something wasn't jiving with your finances and your bank actually said, sorry, this really isn't going to work, then you would submit a cancellation to the seller's agent and you would get your earnest money back if it was before the finance and appraisal deadline. Now, the finance and appraisal deadline is usually at week 3, within the 4 weeks of closing. Or of being under contract, really. So the first 2 weeks is really your due diligence, inspections. The third week is your finance and appraisal. And that fourth week is just the lender wrapping everything up so you can settle and close the transactions. Does that make sense? I sure hope so. So week 4 then, you just sit tight, I sit tight. It's really all about the lender, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and making sure everything's wrapped up. So you can close on your property, title can be transferred, and then you and your family can move into your property. So this is pretty much the timeline. It's quite quick after you're under contract. But as I mentioned, I think the most challenging point is just finding the right property for you and your family. So let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to expand upon. Please write it in the comments, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell. I'd love to continue to do content for you, and I'd love to know what you would like to see or hear. If there's someone I can bring on that maybe can answer specific questions. If you are interested in buying in the Salt Lake area or just have questions, want me to run some comps, please feel free to DM me as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao, ciao.